what's up you guys, this is Rob from Plays. Now, as many of you know, this upcoming Friday's dev stream will be revealing more Planes of Eidolon content, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you, my cautious optimism is slowly rising into hype, and you guys know I gotta bring it back a little bit. We gotta be realistic, we can't go all too crazy about this stuff, but it's really hard to contain myself. So I had to do a little bit of thinking, and I want you guys to kind of join me on this journey, and let me know what is the least DE can do to satisfy you with Planes of Eidolon. Alright, now I know that some of you guys have already begun typing all of your comments in the comment section. I'm like, let's hold on one quick second and let's go over some basics first. So I wanted to cover a couple of things that I don't believe DE gets a free pass on. This is like one of those, it's like the very basics. Now, if you guys don't remember Update 14, and you know, for a lot of us veterans, we remember, at least I remember Update 14. I'm like, worst update launch in the history of launches. You know, surprisingly, Rob does remember the bad things that DE has done in the past. That was actually the Arcwing update. Things were crashing left, right, and center. People couldn't get into Arcwing. There's a lot of things that happened, but of course that was also the launch of the Orbiters. So where DE does not get a free pass is I want to make sure that the planes work. And I know that sounds absolutely crazy, but I want it to be playable. And that's the biggest thing, you know, out there. It was like, I want to log into Cetus. I want Cetus to operate smoothly. I want the transition from Cetus into the actual planes themselves to be, I won't say flawless, but I want it to be pretty gosh darn smooth. And I want gameplay in the planes to work. And I know that sounds like such a weird basic thing, but you know, like I said, I've played this game for a good long time. They've introduced new things in the past, and there have been some issues, you know, there have been some issues there. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Update 14 was the worst launch I think that we've ever had. But ever since Update 14, all of the launches since then have been far cleaner. Like, there has been no repeat in Update 14, but you know, Rob remembers, and I'm like, listen, you tried to give us that, but I expect Cetus to work well. I expect Planes of Eidolon to work well. I expect the day and night cycle to work well. Those are like the must-haves. I'm not giving you freebies on those ones. Those are the things that need to be right. So I figured I would go ahead and move into other things, because there's a lot of, you know, it happens all the time. There's a lot of No Man's Skying that goes on around. You're like, oh my god, this is what I believed the game to be. This is what I believed that this would be like. And it's like, no, DE never said that though, so you need to calm down. So let's go ahead and start with the first thing on my list, which is the Operator Warriors, alright? Now, they have stated, you know, in the past that they are going to be touching focus, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I'm gonna get some heat from this, but we are talking about the least that DE could do. I'm talking about bottom of the barrel, is that DE doesn't rework focus, but somehow, in some way, shape, or form, whether it's through the use of gear or through the use of, I don't know, any additional weird shit. Maybe they just did some like passives in focus or something, but didn't completely rework the trees to give the operators more survivability. That is the #1 thing that I need them to do at the very baseline, basic, just like at the lowest core, is to give the operators some more survivability, or at least some way to regain their energy better. Now, for those of you who don't know the what is it called? The void dashes, for every enemy hit, it actually restores a portion of your operator energy. They've noted it in patch notes, but for maybe the more casual player who hasn't really, you know, who doesn't really read the patch notes, they just want to get in and they want to play, might not have known that. But you know, I feel like the energy system needs to be a little bit more visual for the operators. Not just that, like, kind of like energy bar in the reticule, but that's extra. I'm just saying, at the very base, give us some more survivability, unless there is a specific reason why you don't want us to have survivability mechanically. But let's be real, we need better survivability for our operators. So that is the baseline for me. And I need to clarify, this is not saying that I do not want a focus rework, because dear Lord, sweet baby Jesus, you know, there are some focus trees that just do not see the light of day, as much as there are some really cool things in those focus trees, like Madarai being able to put slash damage on elemental weapons. You know, that's not something that you can do via mods, that's not something you could do with anything else, so you can literally create, with certain slash weapon, or with certain status weapons, you can literally create a toxin-based weapon that has slash in it, that you can put some cold on, so it is literally just proccing viral and slashing. And that's a really, really cool fucking thought, you know what I mean? However, the rest of the tree itself isn't really, you know, doesn't really give us much love, as opposed to some of the other trees, you know, and that's kind of, you know, putting that out there into the universe. I'm like saying, you know, you don't need to touch it now, but at some point it would be nice to have it touched. But at the very least, for operators, for me at the very least, I know I just said that, I just repeated it, but it's late, so you're gonna have to give me a free pass. I would like to see operator survivability increased. So on the operator warrior end, that's what I would like. Moving along, the weapon crafting. Now, I'll be honest with you, this one I haven't given as much thought. But one of the things that I'm kind of nervous about, and I don't know if it's going to be like that for the rest of you guys, but, you know, as a vet and looking at the numbers, we see the numbers and we know how the numbers work. Literally, you can put a weapon in front of us, and unless that weapon's got some sort of hidden mechanic to it that we're not, you know, that's not in the description, we can basically give you an idea of how that weapon is going to perform. You know, just put the numbers in front of us and we can kind of tell you what's going on. So a part of me is almost like in my brain saying, please, 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 make it so that these weapons are more than, like, make it so that it's not completely obvious what path we're going to take to have the most optimal weapon out there. I'm just what I'm going to say. Because literally I'm going to see those weapon numbers and because even though, listen, I like to have fun and I like to like push fun and, you know, say enjoy everything. A part of me is still a hardcore min-maxer. There's still a part of me that retains that from previous games, and even though, you know, I am trying to break it, I still like really powerful weapons. At the end of the day, I like OP shit. It's fun. And it's not, you know, I'm not going to do it every single time. You know, there are going to be some weapons that have some interesting mechanics that I'm going to want to play into, but at the very end of the day, please make it so that the path to the most power creepy weapon there isn't completely obvious. Is not completely obvious. And the other thing that I want to add, please do not make these weapons utterly boring. Like, especially when it comes to the upgrades, especially when it comes down to the upgrades of these weapons. That's definitely a thing that I'm kind of like, alright y'all, you're telling us, you know, we can invest in these weapons to get the best variation possible. Please don't let the best variation possible just be an extra 5% crit. Let the best variation possible do something, like give it some like extra, like an extra like 2-3 feet of range so that when we put Prime Breach on it, it like goes crazy. Something that is interesting and different, because when you say you want us to craft weapons that are unique and, you know, that are uniquely our own, cool, our weapon now has 5% more crit, really feels like uniquely our own, you know, give us some flavor. But, you know, that's the extras. I'm saying just at the very, very baseline core, number one, make sure it works. That's kind of like the general theme of it. Like, let's just make sure it works. Can we just make sure it works? Because I know that there's a lot of, I know that, like, you know, we're talking about, like, ooh, I want cool additional effects and all this, and that's bonus. At its core, just don't make it completely and utterly obvious. Don't make it completely and utterly obvious that this is the path to winning. And please don't make the path to winning be like a really, really lame melee weapon style. But yeah, no, so don't just make it completely obvious, and please, as a bonus, as a little slight extra bonus, I would appreciate it if the upgrades that you gave us, the upgrades that we're gonna have to invest in, I get it, we get the baselines, we get the baseline ones, you've made it clear. There's the baseline variations, and then there's the variations that we can upgrade into. Make the ones that we can upgrade into feel like like worthwhile upgrades, you know, because I'm assuming that there's gonna be some fucking night fishing going on, and there's gonna be some Eidolon hunting going on. I'm sure that there's gonna be a mix of the two, and both of them are probably gonna drive us a little crazy to get these kind of like, you know, to get these crazy unique bonus weapons and all of that kind of stuff. So please, for those extra ones, make sure that they're interesting and a little bit different. But again, I have to repeat because I keep adding extra, and I'm like, that's a part of it. It's kind of like you guys know, with like with hype and all that kind of stuff, you like start thinking all these crazy additional things, and that's partially why I had to like make the video, because a part of me is like, okay, Rob, calm it down. Rob, calm it down. But you can see I'm not doing a great job calming it down because Plains of Eidolon is going to be so cool. Maybe if it works. All right. Not that I don't have faith in DE, but that's kind of like a running joke at least in my brain, is like update 14. Like, it kind of worked on launch. Let's make sure it like really works. And watch that, it's completely the wrong update number that I'm talking about right now. Watch it turn out to be like a completely different update. Watch it be update 15, and I'm like, shit, I got my numbers wrong. All right, let's move on to the last and final thing that we. That I, really want to put some emphasis on, and at the very, very baseline, is Eidolon fights. Please, sweet baby Jesus, do not let this be a piece of cake. That is the #1 thing that I need. I need to feel satisfied, is that when we fight these Eidolons, don't let us just, how do I say this, just kill it in like a matter of moments. Make it like a, I would like to see, and this is bonuses, I would like it to have some sort of technical aspect to it, where you do have to show technical skill. I'd like a little bit of preparatory skill too, I'd like a little mix of everything. Like, you guys want this to be endgame content, I want it to feel like endgame content. I don't want this to be one of those things that we master within, like 2 tries. Like, 2 tries is too much. At 3, 4 tries, and when I say tries, I mean like full on, like if we gotta sit there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours trying, then that's what it is. I don't know how long the night rotations are gonna be, but just putting that out there into the universe. I want it to take I don't want it to be like, oh, okay, well, you just hit the thing on this guy's neck and then he falls over and then you just shoot it, and then the next rotation is, he falls over and then you gotta shoot it again. The next one is like you gotta drop his shields and then he falls over, then you gotta shoot it again. Don't make it so blatantly easy. And also at the same time, don't make the challenge just be bullet sponginess and invincibility phases. Don't get me wrong. If one, like, okay, let's say the Eidolon has multiple different, phases in which you need to like kill it, right? Let's just say that. Maybe he's got multiple different phases. Just, maybe one of those phases have some invincibility moments, but let's not do like all 14 different variations of the Eidolon having invincibility moments. All right, let's do some weird tactical shit where you gotta jump, and you gotta snipe certain areas or something that requires some skill. I get that occasionally, because I know as Warframe players, and this is unpopular opinion, but you can eat my asshole. That people think, oh, invulnerability phases are terrible. In some cases, yes, and in some cases, no. It's just that us as Warframe players, we like to overpower. So sometimes the only way to stop us from instantly killing something in a matter of moments, because you damn well know we're gonna have those builds. We're gonna find builds, and we're gonna have ways to cheese it, whether it's with like the new frames, or like new mechanics, or new weapons that are introduced in. We like to be able to cheese things, and we just want to be able to kill. Like, oh my god, I did 2 million damage. Like, those videos are still popular. Let me put that out there. People are still looking. People will still click on that clickbait. 2 million damage in a single shot, killing an Eidolon in 1 shot. Bullshit. No. I get it. Sometimes you gotta gate the damage, and sometimes the only way you can gate the damage is by putting them in an invulnerability state. I get it. But let's not have every single different variation of the Eidolons having nothing but invulnerability phases. Like, if you're gonna do one type of invulnerability phase, I'm like, okay, cool. But the other variation where, you know, the Eidolons apparently change to meet your playstyle, make it different. Make it something, you know, unique and cool. And you guys are a creative team, and I believe that DE has, like, a lot of creativity in them so that they're not gonna just make invulnerability phases. Maybe, I mean, like, listen, I get it. If you do something like Nox, where he has, like, one specific weak spot, where he takes a lot of damage, cool, fantastic. And then the rest is just like really heavily mitigated damage, cool, that's different. You know, well, it's the same as Nox, but you know, as long as it's not all the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm really curious about, because these Eidolon fights, I have a feeling, and a lot of people have been asking this, oh, well, you know, we're gonna get multiple Eidolon. I think that this Eidolon, and this is just my own speculation, they've mentioned the fact that these Eidolons would be able to adapt to our approach and the way that we fight them. And they've also made note that these Eidolon, we're gonna have to like track them down. Like, they're gonna go away, they're gonna retreat, and we're gonna have to find them somewhere else in the plains, right? So part of me is kind of like, okay, cool. I'm assuming that each time that they disappear and, you know, we have to track them down and find them again, that they're going to take on not necessarily a different form, but a different tactic. So that's kind of like what I'm saying. Maybe the version 1 is like, you gotta fight them and they've got a weak spot that's really weird, or a weak spot that changes. Maybe they, you know, you hit that weak spot, then they're vulnerable for a little bit, and then you gotta find the next weak spot, and then you hit that weak spot and then they become vulnerable again. Like, make it so that it's not the same weak spot over and over again. You know, something a little bit different, something a little bit, you know, interesting. And then maybe just make another version that you can damage outright, but has such like offensive prowess that legitimately you're spending half the fight just dodging, like just parkouring to try to be able to fire a shot. You know, that would be like really interesting takes. Maybe like a really offensive version, maybe a version that's super defensive where you have to like go through those invulnerability phases every now and then, and maybe just another one that's like a skill testing variation. So that for me is the bare bones, and I know that I made that the least eloquent possible, but basically, to reinstate, the bare bones is just don't make it super easy, and don't make it have a ton of invulnerability phases. I get like maybe 1 or 2, depending on how many iterations you have. Depending on how many iterations you have of the Eidolon that we'll be fighting, the different kinds of adaptability, as you guys will, as you guys put it, is kind of like, you know, changing to the different means of ways. Just let's not make it the same thing over and over again. But those are my bare minimums. So I want you guys to let me know in the comments below. I want to know your bare minimums for Operator Warriors. I want to know your bare minimums for the weapon crafting. And I want to know your bare minimums for the Eidolon fights. Just toss that down there, because I think a lot of us get really hyped and we get really excited. As you can tell, like literally, I was like going like, here's my bare minimum, and then here's all of this extra stuff I would like too. But you know, I want you guys to go through and mentally prepare, because we don't want to have hyped ourselves up too much, you know, because DE's been pretty quiet. They've dropped a couple hints here and there. The rest of it is us talking and chatting about it. So I want to bring it back to a normal level before we watch the dev stream and we're like, oh, okay, so for real they just did the bare minimum. Not that DE is going to do that, but you know, that's just the way that I'm putting it. Let me know what your bare minimum is in the comments below, and if there's anything else that you guys can think of that is like bare minimum worthy. I know we haven't chatted about glass frame, but I have a feeling that the Plains of Eidolon stuff we're gonna see on Friday is gonna be glass frame related. We'll see, I don't know. Let me know all of those, and as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and don't get too fucking hyped until you see the shit there, because I know I've seen some commenters and I'm like, you guys, let's rein it in. Regardless, I will chat with you guys next time. Bye bye.